What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. And today I'm going to make the response video to Zach Shurmur of Strong Opinion Sports. And now, before I start this video, and if Strong Opinion Sports is watching this video, this is no disrespect whatsoever to Zach at all, and no shots thrown at him at all. I just wanted to make a response video in response of from a Giants fan's point of view, saying, not to fire Pat Shurmur. And I'll give a quick disclaimer and a quick backstory before I get into that, but I just want to kind of make you understand and make other people understand why we want Pat Shurmur fired and why I ultimately came to that decision after, weeks this season of defending Pat Shurmur. Even in recent weeks, I've said that we need to keep Pat Shurmur for next year and get a real offensive coordinator in there to call plays and things like that. Quick backstory. Like I said, for weeks I wanted Pat Shurmur. I still wanted Pat Shurmur, but it's been probably three or 4 weeks now. I've been saying, well, let's just get rid of him. Ever since that Jets game in Week 10, which I went to, with the timeout situation and the bad clock management. It's something that we've seen time and time again in the past 2 years, and it just doesn't seem like it's getting any better from here. We're not seeing any improvement. We gave Pat Shurmur time and time again the benefit of the doubt and saying maybe he'll get better, maybe his play calling will get better, and maybe his management of the personnel will get better, and it just doesn't. It's not working out. He's not using Saquon Barkley the way he should be. I have a feeling that he is making Daniel Jones regress, and I'm not saying Daniel Jones is regressing now. And that's one of the bullet points I will get into. So I may include clips. Maybe not, but I may include clips. Either way, the original video will be in the description below. Make sure you guys subscribe to Strong Opinion Sports. He has tons of subscribers, and he definitely deserves a lot more. One of the best, sports, football related, mostly, but sports, YouTube analyst or YouTube voices out there, that I definitely look up to. So, that being said, I have a couple bullet points I just want to get to, a couple stuff that you did say. Like I said, this is no disrespect to Zach at all. I just feel like he's a little disconnected and doesn't really understand the Giants fan base as much as he thinks he has, or maybe he's spoken to a couple of Giants fans, or maybe I've seen a couple of Giants fans who are in the minority and may think that this is the majority point of view from most Giants fans, and what he said is not the case whatsoever. As Giants Nation, you mentioned the, Pat Shurmur, his career coaching record, and how a lot of people, including Giants fans, are saying it's a bad thing, and we're looking at his win-loss record as a head coach, and he's 17-43, and he only has 9 wins in Cleveland prior to being a Giants head coach. And trust me, that is complete opposite. It's a complete opposite. We actually were happy that we had Pat Shurmur coming as our head coach because of his success, if you guys want to say that, for lack of a better term there, success as a Cleveland Browns head coach, of having 9 wins in 2 years. That's one of the best, win-loss records in recent years from a Browns head coach in the span of 2 years. A lot of coaches don't even last 2 years, and if they do, they're not getting 9 wins. So we looked at that as Giants Nation, and this is from the majority, not just my point of view, but the majority of my subscribers and other, other Giants fans out there. We looked at that. We never looked at it as a bad thing. We always looked at it as a good thing. We always looked at it as a positive, saying, no coach has success as a Cleveland Browns head coach, and you even said that yourself. Bill Belichick even had his failures as a head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and that's something we also took into account, that it's been going on for years. Pat Shurmur is one of the better head coaches from the Cleveland Browns, head coaching tree. So he had one of the better win-loss records out there. And, went 5-11 one year, 4-12 his first year, and we looked at that as a positive. And nobody is ever. And another thing that I wanted to touch on is, you saying that, Pat Shurmur. We're looking at Pat Shurmur as a result of Daniel Jones, struggling or regression or whatever it is. And I could say, I will admit that there are a lot of Daniel Jones haters out there from the Giants Nation still, but I don't think Pat Shurmur is to blame as much. I don't even think Pat Shurmur is to blame at all, because I don't have any worries about Daniel Jones. I don't have any complaints about Daniel Jones. Yes, he throws interceptions here and there, That being said, he makes a lot of mistakes, fumbles the ball, makes bad reads, struggles against cover 2, struggles against zone in general. But we don't look at Pat Shurmur for that. We're not blaming Pat Shurmur for that. That's just a Daniel Jones thing that he has to, go through. And we all acknowledge that he is a rookie and that he's going to make those type of mistakes. And, we're all behind Daniel Jones 100%, whether it's Pat Shurmur there or not. And I just wanted to take that into account as well, that it's nobody's putting Daniel Jones' struggles on Pat Shurmur. Maybe a couple of guys out there, and he may have something to do with it. Obviously, he's the head coach. He's the offensive guy. He's also the offensive coordinator. Maybe he put Daniel Jones in bad situations, but nobody's, looking at Daniel Jones' 10 interceptions or 9 interceptions and saying, well, that's Pat Shurmur's fault. So now I do want to get into why I do, and I'll say this as a Giants fan. I'm not speaking for all Giants fans, but I know I'm speaking to a majority. A lot of my subscribers do agree with me in this, and I'll give you reasons why I want Pat Shurmur fired. Now, back in Week 10, when I went up there to East Rutherford myself, we had a couple of Giants YouTubers, that being Bad Dog, the infamous Bad Dog. He does not like Pat Shurmur. He hates him. He made it known there at the stadium, and I agree with him to an extent. I agree with, the frustration that Bad Dog had, but I wasn't yet to say that we should fire Pat Shurmur. By the way, I don't think Pat Shurmur should be fired mid-season. I don't think that helps the team whatsoever. I actually think that may regress the team a little bit as far as team morale and getting a head start, or maybe even getting some momentum going into next season. But I think we should let go of Pat Shurmur when the season is over and free agency is upon us and things like that. We should start looking for new head coaches. And that being said, I just want to lay that out there. But we acknowledge that Pat Shurmur is a great coordinator. You mentioned his time in Philly. You mentioned his time in Minnesota, helping out Case Keenum. We get all of that, and we acknowledge that. As soon as we hired Pat Shurmur, as soon as the Giants organization hired Pat Shurmur, we all acknowledged, what he did in Philly, with Carson Wentz, with I believe he was there with Mark Sanchez was still there. I don't know. I don't care. But with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles in particular, with Case Keenum there. Case Keenum looked fantastic there in Minnesota that year they went to the playoffs. So, that was Pat Shurmur's doing. Pat Shurmur definitely had his hand in all of that success there in Philly and Minnesota, and we definitely acknowledge that, and that's why we were saying that he is more fit to be an offensive coordinator than a head coach. And the reason why I say that is because you could see it, and I know you're not a Giants fan, Zach, so I don't put this on you whatsoever. I don't expect you to really watch and understand the Giants games, because, I don't understand everything that happens in Cincinnati Bengals games and things like that. So, but what we're seeing as Giants Nation, we're seeing that Pat Shurmur is overwhelmed with the responsibilities of being a head coach and an offensive coordinator. It seems like he doesn't know how to handle both, but he still wants to do both. He doesn't want to give up his offensive coordinating, responsibilities or privileges, or authority. Because I feel like that's his comfort zone. That's where he likes to be, an offensive coordinator, but he still wants to be that head coach, the guy that manages the team, but he cannot do both at the same time. We look at the Jets game in Week 10. He called all 3 of his timeouts with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and it just completely wiped them out. Not managing the clock right, and also getting rid of the possibility of even challenging a game-deciding play towards the end of the game that he will not have a chance to challenge. It's things like that. It's things like putting calling a fullback screen against the Patriots with third down and 15. It's things like running a draw play running a draw play in midfield on a 3rd and long situation. It's a lot of things that Pat Shurmur has done. Week 1, we could look at Week 1. It was 4th down and 1 from the red zone, and you decide to run it with your fullback instead of giving it to Saquon Barkley in Week 1, in which he had 11 carries for almost 100 yards. I mean, he wasn't putting our guys in the right spots. He wasn't play calling right. He wasn't game managing right. He wasn't utilizing the personnel in the right way. On top of that, he was mishandling injuries. We look at Saquon Barkley. Everybody and their mom knows that Saquon Barkley hasn't been the same since his injury. Saquon Barkley says it's not his injury, but you could see it in Week 10, in Week 9, against the Lions, against the Jets in particular. He did not look the same. And you could tell that he wasn't making the right cuts. Well, not the right cuts, but he wasn't making cuts at all. I mean, he was just literally carrying the ball and letting the defensive lineman run into him. He wasn't making cuts with his ankle. That being, maybe his ankle is still screwed up. That's definitely Pat Shurmur mishandling his injury. You're telling me he's not seeing that during a full week of practice? He's not seeing Saquon Barkley not looking right again, in a full week of practice. You look at Sterling Shepard. He was in concussion protocol early on in the beginning of the year. Then he has a second concussion, and when he tries to come back from a second concussion, right before game day, Sterling Shepard says he cannot play. He has a headache. He cannot play. So he's mismanaging injuries. It was his fault for, going through with it and saying, well, Sterling Shepard looks fine. He cleared it with the medical team, and that's also the medical team's fault as well, clearing Sterling Shepard and saying that he doesn't have a concussion anymore when he woke up before game day or a day before game day and said that his head is hurting and he can't play. So, and then he missed another week due to concussion. So, mishandling injuries. On top of that, Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers recently got hurt with that spinal cord injury, and immediately Pat Shurmur says, oh, it looks like he can work through it. It looks like he'll be fine. Spinal injuries are nothing to play with. Thank God Jabril Peppers did not play in this game ultimately, but Pat Shurmur still came out and said in the press conference a day later saying that Jabril Peppers should be ready to go, should be playing. I don't know if that's just trying to lead us away and not trying to have us worry about anything, but still, Pat Shurmur just looked overwhelmed as a head coach. His play calling is off. His handling of personnel is off. His game and clock management is off. His mishandling of injuries is off. I mean, everything's off. He just looks rattled with all the responsibilities that he has. I think he will be more suited as an offensive coordinator, not a head coach. Now, a quick disclaimer again, I will be all for Pat Shurmur staying another year if we have another offensive coordinator that's actually going to be calling the plays and he can focus on being a head coach. I want to see what he's going to do with the game management, with clock management, as just being a head coach. I will give him that one shot. But if we go into next year and we still have Mike Shula as our offensive coordinator, but he's still not calling plays and Pat Shurmur is still running the show, as a head coach and offensive coordinator, then I'm not going to be happy. Things need to change. We are 2-10 right now. We should be improving. This roster is a lot better than last year. We should have been improving from last year. Instead, we're probably going to have half the wins we had last year. By the way, we had 5. So, we're going to have 2 or 3 wins this year, maybe even 4 if we're lucky. And we're seen to be going downward. So that's all I got for you guys today. Zach, if you're watching this video, this is nothing against you, not to stir up drama. This is not to cause any type of, disrespect. I just want to show you guys what, and you importantly, what it's like from a Giants fan's point of view, and to help you guys understand why Pat Shurmur needs to go. It's not that New York media mentality. It's not saying, he needs to go right away. I gave him the benefit of doubt. I gave him a year and a half. Yes, a year and a half may not seem like a lot of time, but when time and time again, even in our wins, even when we're victorious and we have a W, there's still a lot to improve on. His game management has never been good. There's never been a game where we actually said, wow, he really called a good game. Never has it been in, almost 32 games now. So, that being said, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.